Hello, and welcome back to 2W Conversations, the one and only podcast where eavesdropping on us isn't only okay, but encouraged. Today we're wrapping up an incredible month focused on one of the most critical topics for any business, cybersecurity. Today I have with me Alex, our solutions engineer.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me back on, Danielle.
You probably recognize his voice, he's been on here before. And then Jared, one of our solution architects, calling in actually from Pennsylvania.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm in Pennsylvania, yep.
Awesome. Well, both you know October was Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so we took a deep dive into 4 key areas to help people build a safer digital environment with the end goal of securing our world. So today I wanted to break down the key takeaways in case anyone hasn't been on the internet the past month and maybe missed the conversation. With that being said, the first week we focused on phishing, so let's start there.
Yeah, so phishing attacks are when people try to, it is what it says, they're phishing. They're casting out an email that looks just appetizing enough to get you to respond to try to trick you. So that might be a spoofed PO, pretending to be one of your vendors, asking for information. It can come a variety of different ways, but really it's just emails that are going in to try to trick you into giving them information, routing payment information, things along that nature.
I get those quite often, like multiple times a day, and they just keep getting better, or I should say sneakier. It's getting hard to recognize them.
Well, you're absolutely right. Actually, right before this call, I got one about updating my health insurance benefits, and it was meant to look like a DocuSign link, so it looked very official, and you just got to keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. But always looking at the sender who's sending you the email. Hover over the email address, so even if it's just a name, and expose that actual email address and see if it's somebody that you trust. The shortened links, we use those a lot to hide the giant ugly links that you get in emails. And those can be a little bit suspect too, because you don't exactly know where they're going to link to. But the main thing is really just pay attention to who the sender is. And, if it's your boss asking you to buy gift cards, Apple gift cards for some reason, that's probably not something they normally do, I would imagine. Verify the sender. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, something else I want to add. Use your common sense, right? And think, am I expecting this from this person? Is this normally how I get the information from them? If you get all of a sudden you're getting a weird request from a user at an organization that doesn't normally send that kind of information, pause and just think it's along the same lines of, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Mm-hmm. If this is out of the norm, it's better to be safe and assume something's probably off or wrong than to assume the other way. So look at everything with a little more skepticism, a little more scrutiny, and go, was I expecting a invoice from them? Was I expecting a PO or a quote? Or is this normally the way that they communicate with me? Those tools can help decipher, is this spam or is this a legitimate email?
Yeah, that's something really easy, but you just have to remember to do that with every email you get. You both mentioned the importance of being aware of the sender, but there are ways people can falsify that information, right?
There's a few different ways you can do that. A lot of times people will purchase similar looking domains, maybe change a character out in the domain name, or use a couple letters to make it look like another letter. I think we had somebody do that here once with 2V Tech or something similar. Not in the company, but somebody trying to spoof us. But yeah, that's one way that they'll try to hide it or make it look a little less obvious, I guess.
Yeah, an email domain is one thing, but I've also gotten emails where the first and last name is manipulated. For example, I got one from Mark, our CEO, and that's what appears in the preview mode actually, is the name, not the email. So if you are someone that quick to act, that's another element you need to pay attention to.
Exactly. Jared, I was thinking of the double V one, but also there's another one I've seen out there where they add like an extra S in Microsoft. or they'll put an extra dot in the address, or just add or put .con and just change the end and move one letter in the middle of the address.
It plays off the psychology theory, where your brain will interpret the information you're digesting in a predictive manner with what's familiar instead of what's actually in front of you.
Yeah.
Real quick, I also want to mention that these tell signs are good to watch for before opening an email, of course, but also good things to double check when you're sending an email. Pay attention to grammar, typos. If you usually email from your work email, but now you're sending something from your personal emails, these are all things that can get your communication flagged. And that's just as important to watch out for because you are communicating for a reason.
Yeah, I think I've received legitimate emails sometimes where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is legit or not, basically based on the grammar. So, yeah, that's a good point.
That's a really good point. Lucky for us, the English language is a difficult one. And so it's harder for any overseas imposters to come across it as natural English language. But Danielle's got a point. Make sure to check your spelling and don't have your emails look like spam.
Now, does this term phishing capture more than just this act over email? Because I see similar things come through my cell. I've seen texts, and then I've also gotten phone calls that follow this pattern.
Well, funny enough, you say phone calls. We actually just had one of our clients have a phishing phone call where they called in pretending to be the client's IT staff. Well, little did they know they were actually calling their IT manager, pretending to be a part of the IT staff, and he was able to sniff that out pretty quickly that they weren't internal staff. But those are the kind of phishing attacks. They've tried to use information on their LinkedIn, pretended to be an employee, knew just enough information about the organization to be dangerous, but they called they called the IT manager over there.
On a personal level too, things going on in the world. So I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting just text after text about, are you registered to vote? Who are you voting for? All this political stuff going on right now, and you don't know if you can trust those links that they're sending you in those text messages. You can't just blindly click that stuff. I don't know if it's legitimate or not, but it's better to just not click.
What's the best thing to do then if you do have some doubt about something you got in your inbox?
What I do right away is if it's coming from a client that I know and I'm familiar with, I'll just give them a call. Say, hey, I got this from you. Is this legit? Is this good to go? That is seeing if it passed all of the other eye tests. It looked, the spelling and everything was good. The email address looked good. But if I still have doubts, I'm going to just, I always just call the client or whoever might have sent it my way. Rather be safe than sorry. That's normally my go-to.
Yeah, and I know that's exactly right. And to make that a little more clear, call them, don't let them call you, because if their email account was compromised, a legitimate account was compromised by a bad actor, then if you send an email back saying, hey, give me a call, I want to talk about this, it could be the bad actor. It may not be the person you think it is. So if you reach out to them directly, you could be alerting them to, an email compromise, or at least let them know something's going on. Or if it's legitimate, then you just clear it up and take care of it over the phone.
That's a good call out. I never thought of that. When you are certain an email has malicious intent, what should you do? Now, I ask this, but obviously organizations will have their own protocol. But what do we typically recommend? Because if you got the email, most likely someone else did, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously fans of the Microsoft stack and Microsoft 365, and you can always right-click and either block the sender, or you can report this email as phishing, and then it will go to your system administrator to review, and they can make some other decisions on what to do with that. So I think there's some back-end trickery that Microsoft does to automatically kind of parse out those emails on a global scale. But on a per organization level, the system administrator or your MSP can go through and block those domains, or set up rules to prevent the rest of the organization from getting those emails as well.
Right. Your admin only knows what you tell them. We've been promoting the tagline, if you have any doubt, reach out. So please do. It doesn't matter if you're mostly sure it's safe. That small piece of doubt could be the difference. Last thing to do, of course, is to delete the email so there's no chance to accidentally click it in the future.
Yeah, reporting so that all the back end stuff can happen, but deleting it just to get it out of there is always a good idea.
One other quick thing on if you do find yourself receiving a spam email and you want to send it to either your system admin or your MSP is forward that email as an attachment. What that does is it preserves the pieces of that email, and it allows us to go in and look at what's going on, and it also kind of quarantines it so you're not spreading around just a spam email chain. It's, hey, look, I've attached the email chain, and just you go over, it's on the right hand side, forward as attachment, and that's the best way to send possible spam emails to your IT administrators. Trust me, they'll thank you later for doing that.
Yes.
It really comes down to building a habit, because once that habit's built, it won't seem as much of a task.
Exactly. And there's also tools within Microsoft that you can turn on, and all of our clients have that turned on, is the simple tag underneath the email that, hey, you don't normally get emails from the sender. That tagline alone I know it's saved countless of our clients. It's also made me double look at things before. It just goes, hey, you've gotten, only a handful of emails, if any, from this sender. And if they're pretending to be Danielle, I'm like, I've gotten a lot of emails from her. Why would I get this now? And that tips me off right away. So there's tools out there to help speed up that identifying of phishing emails.
Good point. So moving on to week number 2 of October, we touched on passwords. Passwords are probably the most known security precaution, but possibly thought about the least. When you two make passwords, what's going through your head to ensure they're strong?
My big rule, and this is starting to be the guidance for passwords, is to do long passphrases. So things like, and I'm trying not to say any of ones that I've used or have right now, so is like, the wheels on the bus go round, 24 exclamation point, or something like that. So making sure it's a passphrase plus a number plus a special character. And really what you're looking to do here is length. Length is and Jared, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but length is kind of the number one thing that's going to stop people from cracking your password. So if you have 3 letters versus 16, they have to cycle through that many different combinations to guess your password.
Yeah, exactly right. So I do the same thing. You take a few of your favorite hobbies or things in your office, lamp, door, I don't know, carpet, and string them together to make a nice, easy to remember password, especially something silly like that example. But that's way easier than just random numbers and letters and characters that, if each password is supposed to be unique, is almost impossible to remember.
I've also seen people use symbols that represent letters in their passphrases, like a 3 for E or an and symbol for 8, just a way to add another difficulty element. Jared, you mentioned this, but making sure passwords are unique to each other is also a big thing. Now, it's a common thing, so don't worry if that's you, if you are someone that uses the same password for everything. I know I used to do that, but password managers are really what allow us to make unique passwords, because it is impossible to remember 60 different passwords.
I mean, there's a lot of different options out there for password managers. There are some web-based ones. There are some application-based. The iPhone has an Apple ecosystem has its own, which is what I use for my personal stuff. But they store your passwords and the sites to where they belong, all encrypted and in a safe manner, so that you can just authenticate yourself. So at least with the iOS one, it uses Face ID to unlock. It knows that it's me. Now I have access to all my passwords. So you can go through and just copy and paste that password into the website rather than trying to remember those. So it's a much easier way to manage having different passwords for different websites, especially much better than trying to write it down in a book and keeping it under your keyboard or something along those lines, which I have seen.
Or a spreadsheet on the desktop.
Yes, we see that quite a bit too.
Yeah, if you're writing down passwords, we can't help you. But yes, password managers store your passwords, but they're also responsible for the autofill, so you don't even have to physically copy and paste them all the time.
Yeah, and the creation of those passwords, because I'm not that creative. I cannot come up with 100 different unique passwords for all the various sites that I access. So that creation process helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Even if you follow all of these tips for creating a password, it isn't a golden ticket to cyber safety. This is why cybersecurity is so complex. It's still possible for a bad actor to get past your password, and that's where multi-factor authentication comes in. So what are our options here?
There are a few different types of MFA types out there. So you can use the text message one-time password code, where the provider will send you a text message to your trusted phone number, where you have to enter the number back. We're big fans of the Microsoft Authenticator app here, and with the Microsoft services, you get a few different options there too, where a number will appear on the screen, and you have to enter that number then into the app on your phone. Or sometimes it'll just send a push notification to your phone, and you can choose yes or no. Yes, that was me, or no, it wasn't. Um, there's phone verification too for folks that don't have their cell phones at their job, or they may not be able to carry their cell phones at their job, where it will dial a desk phone, and you can verify that way. And then another popular one are YubiKeys, which are a device that you purchase that you can plug into your computer. They make them for phones and iPads to act as your second level of authentication too. So if you have that device and you know the password, then you can get in.
You said Ubi keys? That's one I haven't heard of.
YubiKey, yeah, YUBI.
Yeah, they look like little flash drives that you plug into into your computer, and then and what they do is they're constantly cycling a code, and so you plug it in, and there's the code. So now I have the password plus the physical device. That's your two factors of authentication right there.
And that's one for all your devices?
Yep, we recommend you put it on your keychain or work keys, wherever, somewhere that you'll have it when you're working.
Yeah, it's a great option for shop floor users, like I said before, that may not have cell phone access on the shop floor, or they don't want to install company software on their personal devices, which is understandable. Those UV keys are pretty cheap, and there are other ones too. I think that's just kind of the Kleenex of the, I don't know what you call them, but the keys. So it's a great option for those folks to be able to stay secure without necessarily putting software on their phones that they don't want on there.
For sure. So implementing MFA is one thing, but you have to actually pay attention when you get the authentication requests. Otherwise, it's useless, right?
Yes. So you want to make sure when you get those requests in that it was you, that you're actively trying to get access to wherever wherever you need an MFA into. If you just get one of those notifications out of the blue, that's a really good indicator that somebody has gotten your username and password and is trying to get past your second level of authentication. And so at that point, that MFA accept or deny notification is what's holding back this bad actor from getting into your network. So if you don't recognize it, you don't want to accept it, let them in. It would be kind of like when you have a stranger at the door, right? You're not just gonna say, "Oh, I don't know this person. Yeah, come in, hang out. I'm not home right now." Right. You'll if it's your best friend, "Oh, yes, I was expecting you. You're supposed to come over and we're gonna hang out. Come on in." And so you want to watch to make sure, yes, that was me. Yes, I am expecting it. That's in my location, to make sure that you keep those bad actors out. Because what they'll do is they'll spam the MFA request. They'll make it so that your phone, if they get through, we've seen this happen, to where your phone just is constantly buzzing with MFA requests, and they're hoping they make it annoying enough that you just go, fine, accept, and now they're in. So really want to pay attention to, was the kind of like what we're talking about with phishing. Was I expecting this request? Mm-hmm. Is that, does this make sense? If not, ignore it, decline, contact your IT administrator.
Right. And if you deny someone an MFA request, probably a good idea to reset your password, because that shows they did get past that layer. Okay, so now on to the pain of our existence, software updates. This is one of those things that, yes, it always seems like your computer needs an update at the most inconvenient time, during a meeting, when you're presenting whatever it is, but they are crucial.
Software updates are important for the main reason is you're getting updates to security. So when anytime a provider pushes out an update, whether it be Microsoft, whether it be your phone provider, anytime an update goes out, it's for a number of different reasons, ranging anywhere from user interface fixes, bug fixes, to security. And a lot of times those updates will contain some level of security fix, security upgrade, because as we know, all the cyber criminals are only getting smarter and better. So it's a little bit of an arms race between the bad actors and the good. It's really the bad guys and the good guys trying to stay one step ahead of each other. So they're constantly pushing out those updates, pushing out the security fixes to keep you one step ahead of the bad actors. Now, if you don't apply those, you've just opened yourself up to risk as cyber criminals learn how to beat other forms of security, and you're not keeping up with the times. They're gonna pick on your software and break into your system through those security vulnerabilities in old software.
Everybody thinks Windows updates when you think updates too, right? And I think they're the ones that probably have the worst reputation, but they've gotten a lot better over the years. There are fewer and fewer issues that come from Windows Update, which is great. But some things that don't get updated through Windows Update would be your browsers or third-party software that's installed on your computers or your phones, and supplies everywhere. It's very important to make sure all those applications get the updates, because one exploit in, say, Adobe Photoshop can provide access to your entire system. So one application can just open the floodgates for all kinds of attacks. So that's really why updating all of your software is important.
So some quick things you could do right now is turn on notifications and or automatic updates. Just like everything else, planning ahead pays off, and you can schedule your updates to go after hours so it doesn't interrupt your workflow. Well, looking at the clock, we should probably wrap it up. Thank you both for getting into the weeds with me.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Danielle. Always love being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Quick reminder that although Cybersecurity Awareness Month is over, it should always be top of mind. And if you ever need assistance with anything technology-based, you can reach out to us at 2W. Otherwise, you know the drill. Like and subscribe for more conversations.